Hey, what's up everybody? Tony with Lido Loca. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about password security. We have passwords for everything these days. Passwords to get into our computer, passwords to get into our online banking, passwords to get into our telephone, and passwords are the key to all of our personal information, all of our most private things protected by passwords. I've just spent some time with an interesting story about a couple who got tricked out of their cell phone password by a bartender on an MSC cruise ship. It's pretty crazy. Again, thanks for stopping by the YouTube channel. If you're brand new here, if you enjoy cruising, take the time, hit the subscribe button with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of our content. Okay, so here's the way the video is going to go. I will give you a breakdown of the news story, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. Stay to the end. I want to tell you about a time that my password got hacked. Okay, here's the story. It's a story about this lovely couple from Liverpool in the UK, Paul and Janet Tierney. They've embarked on a cruise on the Mediterranean on MSC Cruises, and during the hustle and bustle of embarkation day, Paul realizes that he's lost his iPhone 7 Plus. Somewhere along the way, he has lost the phone. He looks everywhere and he realizes that he's going to have to cancel the SIM card and get a new phone. The phone is just gone. It's the worst feeling. I am so attached to my phone. I could not imagine it being lost. I could not imagine it being lost on a cruise ship, but they're doing their best to have a great vacation. They resolved that, look, everything's replaceable, everything's fixable. We'll just cancel the SIM card. We'll get a new phone. All's well that ends well. It's a common story. People lose their phone, they replace it. There's nothing special about it. Okay, maybe there's something special about this case. So they get back home from their cruise. They've resolved they had a good cruise. They get back home from their cruise. Paul spends £300 to get a replacement phone from eBay. That phone comes in. He puts in his information. He syncs his phone back from his latest iCloud backup. And all of a sudden, not only is Paul's data back with all the pictures that he's ever taken, but there's also some pictures that were taken by a crew person on the MSC ship that he was on. I'm talking about selfies. I'm talking about pictures that Paul did not take, but the person that had his phone took. And the crazy thing is it was a crew member that they had interacted with. It was a crew member that they thought fondly of. It was a crew member that bamboozled them. So you might be asking yourself, well, look, these phones, they go into automatic lockout mode. How did the person that found this phone or took this phone, how did they get into Paul's phone without his passcode? Here's where it gets outrageous. The person who took their phone was the bartender for them at one of the bars on the MSC cruise ship. Now, they said that their picture is on the lock screen of their phone, so it was really easy to identify them as the owner of the phone, and a certain bartender took interest in them, and out of the blue, they had a little game at the bar. This wasn't like a stage show. This was like a at the bar kind of show. And the bartender was super interested in knowing how well Paul and Janet knew each other. And at one point, he asked them 3 questions, but one of the questions was, do you know Paul very well? And if so, what is the passcode for his telephone? Now, Janet, in the moment, having a good time, reveling in the fun of the cruise, blurts out Paul's passcode. I don't know if they won the game or not, and that could have been that. However, the guy was just fishing for the passcode. He used the passcode to access Paul's phone and basically used it as his own phone until he got busted. Now, sure enough, once Paul figured out what happened, playing back the scenario of how Janet had blurted out his passcode and now everything else that had transpired, playing all that back in his mind, he immediately contacted MSC. They went right to the guy, and the guy gave up the phone. They sent the phone back to Paul. They reimbursed him for the replacement phone that he'd bought on eBay, and they also passed along vouchers to them for future MSC cruises, along with many apologies for this happening, and the guy that stole the phone or used the phone in that way, dismissed, walked off the ship, not to be employed by MSC anymore. Now, Paul and Janet say that this has really tainted their cruising experience. They're really bummed out by it, and you can understand it, but wow. Who would have thought that you would have got fished for your passcode for your stolen phone right there at the bar on the cruise ship? It just goes to show you that you got to be careful, even in situations that feel comfortable. The guy's nice to you. That's your bartender. He's mixing you drinks. He's serving you drinks, and all the time he's got a nefarious plan in mind. It's a sad state of affairs, but it does remind us that you got to have that situational awareness. You got to treat people that even seem friendly to you with a little bit of stranger danger, and you got to pay attention to what you're saying. Don't ever give out your pat. Look, I don't blame Janet. It's an in the moment kind of thing, but you got to train yourself to say, look, if anybody asks me for my birthday, my social security number, my passcode for my phone, I just got to say, yeah. But who would have thought it would happen? Who would have thought it would happen? Now, I've had a couple experiences of identity theft in my life. The first one was in the early days of internet. I've always been kind of an early adopter, and I learned really early on not to use the same username and password for multiple accounts. This probably happened, probably 10, 15 years ago. I was a reseller on eBay, and my eBay username and password was the same as my PayPal username and password, and it was the same as my email username and password that I was using. So I was using all three with the same username, the same password. Somebody hacked my Yahoo account, and they figured out my username and password. They went over to eBay and realized that there was the same, and they also went to PayPal. They did some interesting things. They went into PayPal. They turned off notifications, so I couldn't see any of the transactions that were happening. Like, I wouldn't get an email if a transaction happened. And they proceeded to put up a listing on eBay for $800 and then buy it and then extract the money from PayPal. So this was devastating. It was $800 was more money than I had in my bank account, and I woke up one day and I had bills out there that I was trying to pay, and all of a sudden all the money that I had was gone because I had been hacked. Now, the cool thing is I got all of it resolved. Eventually, I got the money back, but you guys know how banking works. They don't care if you got hacked. At least at that time, they didn't. They're like, look, you had checks out. That's how old this was. You had checks out. These checks have bounced because you didn't have money in your account. We don't care if you got hacked or not. So it was a hassle. I lost money. I had to pay extra money for checks, and it was really because I wasn't super secure with my password. So now I don't have anything the same. And think about how many different things that we have. I actually use a program called LastPass, and it's something that manages your passwords. I highly recommend using that. It's in this world with so many passwords, you need something to help you out, and that's what I use. It's not sponsored or anything. It's just what I use, what I've used in the past, and what I recommend to people. And then one more story. We have a gas station near us that at least twice, and I don't go there anymore. You know, it took me twice to figure it out. I've had my debit card hacked at the gas pump. You can put a reader inside of the credit card swipey part, and they can get your numbers, and if there's some way they can photograph you typing in your PIN, you can get your ATM hacked. Fortunately for both experiences, I recognized it within a few hours. I turned the card off, that kind of thing. But the first time, somebody had charged like $150 before I realized it, and I did get all that money back. But now, like, a precaution for me is if I use a card at a gas pump, if it's my debit card, I always say no debit. I use it as a credit card. And now most of the time when I use a card to get gas, I use a low limit credit card in case I get hacked. That way they don't take all of my money. But it's a crazy world that we live in. What about you? The interactive part of the video. Would the alarm bells gone off when this bartender asked you for the passcode for your husband's phone? Or would it just seem like normal cruising? Have you ever had your identity stolen? Have you ever been hacked? I do believe it's fairly common in the world today. Keep yourself safe out there. Change your passwords often. Don't give your passwords out to anybody. Make them complex. All you can do is protect yourself. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you found the information helpful. If so, hit the like button. Got some more cruising videos popping up here. Check those out. This is Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. What's your passcode? Don't tell me. Bye.